I moved to Japan 5 months ago, and this is pretty much my story. So, I basically started out wanting to move to Japan because I liked anime. And I know that's kind of a common story that you'll probably hear, but hear me out. I personally got into One Piece when I was like 14 or so. And you know, that was after having grown up watching anime, consuming Japanese media, all this kind of stuff. And it's not like it was my main focus for a long time, it was just kind of on the side. Like I liked Nintendo games and that kind of thing. But growing up, I'd always just kind of had a slight interest in Japan. It was just always on the side. And it was when I was 14 that I got into a little show called One Piece. And One Piece made all the difference for me. I just loved that show. I mean, so many people do, and I think it's for a reason. It's a great show. But I got into One Piece, and I loved it. And there was just one thing. I personally only wanted to watch dubbed, okay? When I was younger, I hated subbed anime. I just did. And with One Piece, I got so attached to these voices that when I hit the 300 episode mark, you heard me right, 300 episodes, I realized, wait a minute, the rest of this is in Japanese. I have to use subtitles. That's 300 more episodes of Japanese. Like, I don't even really like the language or anything like that. You know, the more specifically, I guess, I'm not used to the voices. So my logic was, let me then learn Japanese so I can listen to the voices and I can enjoy them without subtitles. Now, I don't know why I thought this. Honestly, I think I just had a disdain for the idea of using subtitles to watch anime. I don't know, but either way, that got me started on my journey of learning Japanese. And I mean, learning Japanese or learning any language can be a long journey, you know. There are gonna be ups, there are gonna be downs, there are gonna be lefts, rights, zigzags. It's kind of like reaching any big goal in life. But once you lock in and get there, you can see some real dividends. Anyways, that's besides the point. Back then, I knew I had to learn Japanese, so I started learning Rosetta Stone, or I started using Rosetta Stone to learn. And so I continued on that path, on and off kind of learning, switching materials, using this, using a little bit of that, until eventually I got to college. And I was like, I'm already kind of into Japanese, I'm learning it pretty seriously, like let me take classes. And so I started taking Japanese classes in college. And it was sort of like, because I took these classes, I was like, I might as well get the minor. And now I'm getting a minor and it's like, wait a minute, I'm taking classes in Japanese, I'm learning about the culture and the people, and it's like, wait a minute, okay, this is starting to become a love for the country, which I think is something you low-key kind of need when you're trying to learn a language. Like, if you don't start to love the culture in some way, you're probably gonna have a hard time finishing. Or at least, you know, reaching your language goals. There's really no finishing. You just get better and better, you know, and close out your blind spots. But at any rate, that is how I got my interest in Japan. And it was, gosh, it was like 2020. You know what? It was 2020. And here's how I know it, the pandemic. I wanted to go on a study abroad trip. And I remember distinctly saying, I'm definitely going on this abroad. There's nothing that could stop me. Yeah, pandemic, enough said. But that just built up my desire to go to Japan even more. And so luckily for me, I went as a graduation gift from my parents. I went off to Japan and oh my goodness, I loved it. I mean, I just adored everything about it. I was like, wait, this is just confirming every little thing I've thought about the country. Like, it's clean, it's safe, the light went out. As I was saying, it was just about everything I'd imagined it would be, and wow, I knew I have this goal to move to Japan. It was kind of an inkling for a while. It was like, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. But after I went, I was like, I know this is a life goal of mine for sure. Like, I can't leave this world without at least giving it a shot. Like, that's for me. And so I took the leap. But that comes later. I think at that point, I had to go through a bit of an arc of, I'm going to be an independent guy. I'm going to do YouTube and all this and whatnot. And so I built up the channel. Sorry, not this channel. This one's just started. I built up another channel before I went to Japan. I was like, well, I like Japan and I want to start a YouTube channel. Let it be about Japan. And I mean, it did all right. It did pretty well and I was pretty happy with it. And to me, that was just more confirmation that I need to move to Japan. Now, here are the nitty-gritty details about why I want to move to Japan. I think for one, there's so much to do. I mean, if you live in Tokyo, the sheer amount of any interest you have, there's someone to be there. Any interest. I mean, anything you can think of. I don't know, cosplay, anime, like any sport, any niche sport, like I don't know, like racquetball or something like that. You know what I'm saying though? Like any interest you have, there's something for it in Tokyo. And outside of interests, you have animal cafes, you have nerd centers of like plenty of anime shops and gaming shops and retro gaming and arcades that are still alive and are still thriving, or at least like locations that are thriving. They're still kind of on the decline. The internet's real, but I mean, it's a hub of nerd culture and all the things that I loved, and just to be able to find that in Japan was just an amazing thing for me. So I think that's a big kind of reason I wanted to go to Japan, was it will supplement my interests. Another thing is, I mean, and Americans are kind of used to this. I'm from America, but I'm glad to get away from all the guns. I said it. Living in a country where there are more guns than people can be kind of scary sometimes. I'm gonna be honest. Now, don't get me wrong. You gotta keep your wits about you in Japan, but it's just not even on the same level. It's not even on the same stratosphere, like the amount of danger you're in when you leave the house, you know? And I mean, that's not to say I lived in like a crazy area, but it's just the reality of it. Like, you know, there are people getting shot down the street at the end of the day, like not too far. I mean, just pick a spot in America. People are probably getting shot. Just being honest. And I mean, with mental health getting worse and worse, school shootings getting worse and worse, like it's just not a good look to live in America right now. You know, other things aside. And so yeah, I mean, safety was a great reason for me. Another one, the food. When I lived in America, no matter the time, no matter the hour, I was down for some Japanese food. And I mean, I was down. You give me some ramen, some sushi, like some, I don't know, we had takoyaki sometimes, you get some katsu, like katsu curry, whatever it is. Like, I was down for it. Not okonomiyaki, oyakodon, like whatever it was, I was down with it. And here, you get the best version of that. You get the top of the top, the cream of the crop, just the best version of whatever food, Japanese food you're into. And that, I mean, come on, that's a great selling point for anyone that's into Japanese food, like I'm just saying. But you know, if you want to take your occasional, like maybe, you know, once every couple year trip to Japan, or once every few year trip to Japan, you can satisfy yourself that way. But that's just one of my reasons. Now personally for me, another one, you know what, I just hate to say, it's convenient. There are a lot of conveniences. You don't need a car, for example. You don't need all these, like, honestly, it's mainly the car. Can I just keep it about, you can walk, you can use the train, and I honestly would prefer to be able to walk more. Maybe that's just me. Now what's crazy is that I moved to a town where it's still a car-based area. So I'm actually using a rental car right now. Still not in Tokyo, you know, to be determined, to be seen. But I think for like more personal reasons, I really think that I can find like my people out here. I don't know, especially in Tokyo, like already by default, everybody's into Japan, which is a good and a bad thing. But the reason, like as a reason, I really thought like, hey, like I can find people that are into YouTube and people that are into Japan and they're into whatever else I'm into, but I can really find and really bond and connect, and you know, that to me was an amazing draw coming to Japan. Which is funny because, to be honest, on the lead up to here, I had actually started building the best community I'd have in the States, and you know, I had to leave all that behind to make a new one here, which was kind of crazy. But you know, to me, I just learned a lot of lessons for how to build a community and how to fulfill those needs, which some people, you know, everyone learns at different stages. Hopefully you learn that, you know, how to do that, but that was also a big thing for me. Yeah, I mean, I think another thing is that, to be honest, if you're making American money, then living in Japan is great. Like, if you have some sort of American job, prices here are perfect. Like, they're just, it's super affordable to live here. And so my goal is to, you know, be a YouTuber and make American YouTube money and then be able to live pretty comfortably in Japan. That was kind of the idea, but I mean, you know, of course, I don't know, I'm not exactly a fan of backup plans, but I do have a degree in IT, and so may go the IT route and then just get an IT job in America while being here at some point or another. But yeah, I mean, those are my reasons for moving to Japan. Just let me know what you think. All right, see ya. Yep.